Martha. Nice to see you. Welcome. Take a few minutes to get your space together. You're in space. Find a comfortable seat. Maybe surround yourself with anything that gives you inspiration. I send this sage out to you, to your family, and to all sentient beings. To help clear the air of all of this intense energy that we've been faced with. So I missed our time together, and many times I thought about starting up the evening meditations again, and then I just would be like, no, I don't know if I feel like committing to it. And then it just came to the point where, like, yes, I feel that it's beneficial for myself and for other beings to have the opportunity to sit together and to join spirits and minds and virtual bodies together to raise our vibration or to ground us back into the earth and to give us tools to prevail in these tumultuous times, in these times of uncertainty and sometimes in these times of just downright pain and suffering. So we'll practice together till about 8:30. I'll do a little bit of a centering in a cup, and we'll begin with a centering and a grounding, and then I'll ring the formal meditation bell, and we'll do a meditation tonight, and we'll focus on it this week on basic Anapanasati, or the mindfulness of breath. So take a comfortable seat, sit in whatever way that you feel that you can sit with a long, tall spine. So you don't have to sit on the floor, you don't have to sit cross-legged. You can even be lying down if you like. What does that say? Namaste, my friends. And if you're seated sitting in a chair, you could sit either towards the front of the chair and lean back, but you want to have your shoulders be level. You don't want to be collapsing the heart chest. And so you could put a bolster or a blanket of some sort behind you so that you are leaning back into something, so that you can feel your shoulder blades moving together, the shoulders rolling back, sits bones releasing down into the earth, and feel your feet on the earth. Uncross your legs. If you're sitting back in a chair, you can let your feet come a little bit forward from your knees. But if you're also, a way to sit is towards the edge of your chair and have your knees come out straight from your hips and your heels pretty much underneath your knees. Your ankles pretty much underneath your knees. Slightly rolling your knees inward. I can kind of read your messages without my glasses, and so I really appreciate you checking in with me, guys. It really means a lot to me. So having set up your and established your seat, if it feels comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. Just release your eyelids down towards your cheeks. Or in the Tibetan tradition, meditation is taught with your eyes released down but slightly open. But you want to have a very focused gaze. In fact, you're not gazing outward, but you're turning inward with your gaze. So your inner gaze is going to the straight back, following the optic nerve to the back of the brain, the base of the skull, and reflecting down into your heart. Tip of the tongue barely touching the back of the teeth, the top teeth, in fact, the upper palate, the hard part of the upper palate, just behind the enamel of the teeth. And relax the jaw. If the lips part, that's fine. Relax the cheeks. In fact, you can even have a sense of letting go of any personality in your face. Crown of the head is lengthening up towards the heavens without cranking the spine. Just lengthen the crown of the head as if it was buoyed up by a balloon, and allow the spine to just float. Releasing the sits bones down into the earth. Have something underneath your knees if you're sitting on the floor and your knees are up high. You want to try to sit with your hips higher than your knees if possible. And wiggle your toes. Drop the sits bones. Lengthen up through the side body. Roll the shoulders back and down. And invite your arms to just hang from the trunk of the body. Resting your hands on your knees, or you could choose the Dhyana Mudra with your right hand resting on your left hand. And if I take that mudra, I like to have something to place my hands on in my lap to help to keep the chest open. So if I drop my hands down lower, my shoulders tend to collapse a little bit forward, and I want to keep the front sternum long and parallel to the spine of the shoulder blades, which is the upper bone of the shoulder blades. So the first foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of the body. Where you are in space. So notice the temperature of the room. Notice if there's a breeze coming in through the window. Notice any sounds that you hear in your room. Kind of meditation music in the background, which I could just kind of turn down. I just like to have that on so you know I'm still here. Sometimes when I'm in class and I don't hear any sound and my eyes are closed, I have to like peek up and look at the TV, look at my Zoom, my camera or whatever, my screen, to see if somebody's still there. So that's one of the reasons why I like to have something going on in the background, so you can just let go. I want you to see if you can just let go of having to do anything. So this is some time for ourselves to have nothing to do. Rare. So acknowledge your day. You can make a mental note of anything that rises up as you acknowledge your day. Acknowledge your day. Especially note the things first that were difficult. Acknowledge that. Know that it can be resolved, and then let it go. And then perhaps acknowledging some part of your day, something that you have gratitude for. And if you can't think of anything to have gratitude for, give yourself an awareness of being grateful for choosing this time for yourself. And then know that whatever you proverbially left at the door to come into the space, it'll still be there when you get done, but maybe you'll have a shift in an attitude about it, and maybe not. But know that giving yourself a pause is really, really important for our parasympathetic nervous system to calm ourselves down and give yourself a sense of clarity and focus. And it will take, even though I say it doesn't, where there's nothing to do, it takes some focus. It takes some discernment. And our object of concentration this evening for the next about 12 minutes or so will be our breath, our object of concentration, anchoring your attention on breathing in and breathing out. And your mind will probably come up with all kinds of thoughts, but acknowledge those thoughts and then just let them go. So that's our practice this evening. Anapanasati, mindfulness of breath. So once again, being aware of your posture, sitting up nice and tall, and we begin with 3 rings of the Tibetan bowl. So take a deep listening to the Tibetan bowl. And choosing now a place where you feel the breath the most effortlessly. So the rise and fall of the belly when you breathe in and out. Breathing in, the belly expands. Breathing out, the belly draws back. The navel draws slightly upwards at the very end of the exhalation. And then breathing into that space again of the belly. So perhaps anchoring your attention on the belly, rise and fall, or maybe it's the heart chest rising and expanding as you breathe in, or perhaps the tip of the nostrils right above the lips, that space. When you breathe in, the air is cool, and when you breathe out, the air is warmer and filtered. So wherever you feel the breath the most effortlessly, anchor your awareness, anchor your attention on that space. And the fullness of the breath, the beginning, and the middle, and the end of the inhalation, and the time and space just before you exhale. And then again, the beginning and the middle and the end of the exhalation. See if you can be aware of all three of those parts of the breath and the pause between the inhalations and the exhalations. No, I know there will be fluctuations of the mind. The mind will wander. Just acknowledge those thoughts and bring them back. Keep bringing it back to that place where you have chosen to watch your breath. If the mind wanders 100 times, firmly but lovingly invite your attention back again. Tip of the nostrils, the belly, the chest. The mind wanders 100 times, bring it back 101 times. And if you need to, adjust your posture. Gravity will collapse you. Muscles that aren't used to holding yourself up might even start to kind of ache a little bit, so adjust as necessary. And then come back to, as best you can, stillness. Know if it's a long breath. Know if it's a short breath. If it's a ragged breath or if it's a smooth breath. There's nothing you can do that is wrong here. But if you do find yourself on a train of thought, just get off that train, come back to the station. Coming back home. Sometimes it helps to turn your cheeks or your lips up a little bit and a little bit of a Buddha smile. And relax your jaw, relax your face with each inhalation, lengthening up into the heavens. And each exhalation roots you, grounds you down into the earth, into your seat. Again, acknowledge the thoughts as they arise. Take care not to push them away, but take care also not to hold on to those thoughts, or as best you can not follow the thoughts. Just acknowledge them. Acknowledge, 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 and come back again and again to this precious present moment where all things are possible, with the breath as our anchor. And if you like, for the next 2.5 minutes, you can even just let that go and come into open awareness. Whatever arises, arises. The Vipassana, allowing whatever arises to arise in your mind, with whatever the sense gates take in. Hearing, sight, touch. Acknowledge it and then just kind of let it go. You can name it. Thinking, feeling, worrying, projecting. You can name it, but just let it go. Or if you need more of an anchor, stay with the sensation of focusing, stay with focusing on the sensation of breathing in and breathing out, wherever you feel the breath the most effortlessly. And I'll keep track of the time. And when you hear the bell ringing 3 times, with each ring of the bell, notice if you can let go even just a little bit more, somewhere, anywhere. Making your way back to normal waking consciousness, invite your inhalations to be a little bit deeper and your exhalations a little bit longer. Stay with following that inhalation a little deeper and exhalation a little bit longer as best you can. When your breath reaches out back to your fingers and your toes and the crown of the head, perhaps wiggling the fingers, maybe rolling the shoulders, opening and closing, pressing the feet down a little bit, maybe wiggling the toes. Keep your upright posture as best you can, but you can I like to take a little twist keeping my eyes softly closed or very lightly open. And a twist to the other side. And a little bit over back, over to the other side before coming back to center. Maybe bringing the arms up over the head. My yoga teacher, B.K. Iyengar, said, you can't be depressed if your arms are over your head. And so it's a posture that is the opposite of closing your arms over in front of your chest, right? So you can't be depressed if your arms are over your head. If you like, you can take an arm extension of a side extension. Good. And then come back to center. If you like, you can hold your posture again for a moment. And I like to close with a little bit of inspiration. And so just a reminder that we're not trying to stop the mind from thinking. We're not trying to close and shut everything down. So that's not the object of this meditation practice. It's just to become aware of what arises, and as best we can, taking care not to follow and coming back. And you can get a little bit more discriminatory about that, and being like, when thoughts arise, ask yourself, is it true? Is it helpful? And is there anything I can do about it right now? And then just keep coming back to your object of concentration. And what the science has shown us, and with practice shown us, that each time that you don't follow a thought and you don't push it away, but you acknowledge it each time, that thought has less power to come back. And so the teachings, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, but it's smoothing out those fluctuations. So instead of the thoughts being like, wah, and crazy monkey mind, as they call it, all over the place, with practice, those thoughts they have less power, and they smooth out. And so we have what's called samskaras, and that's patterns and ways of thinking that we can actually erase. And that is how I feel like we change our karma, is because we're not acting on our thoughts, continually acting and reacting on our thoughts. So we smooth out those samskaras. It's like if you have a cut or something, and then it's all red and it's raised and it's painful, and then with time and with healing, and maybe with a little magic salve, it smooths out that scar, till it's almost like it's no longer there. So that's one of the benefits of the meditation practice, besides calming our nervous system, our reticular action, our heart rate, our pulse, soothing and calming our adrenals and our kidneys so they're not pumping out stress hormones. And then just know that it's a practice that you can pick up throughout the day. You don't have to wait to establish a sitting meditation throughout the day. Anytime you're waiting, anytime you're walking out the door and you know you're going to have a stressful day, you can pick up a mantra or just pick up your breath. That's my Dharma talk. So I'm going to end with some, what was I going to read? Oh, I'm going to read some Rumi this evening. Persian Sufi ecstatic poet. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Just a really, really beautiful poem from Rumi. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. And when the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Lek. Thank you very much. I'm visited by one of my great inspirations and teachers from Thailand. So with a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. It brings tears to my eyes. I'm so grateful that you guys are all here. Truly. Martha, I appreciate your words and your affirmations of this work for us. Tom, RJ, hello. Sarah, you're very welcome. Robert, and oh yeah, no, you're great. You can lie down and you can sit up. You can do whatever it is. You're just trying to, even if you have to go listen to this kind of work when you can't take a moment to actually sit. But I encourage you to do so in the future. But I'm going to leave you now with my closing prayer. And I'll be back, for the rest of this week, weeknights, and next week. And then schools now are going distance learning. So, but the special needs teachers might have to go back into the school. So that's one of the reasons why I need this practice. So, Om Purnamada Purnamadam Pranat Pranamadichite Purnasya Purnamadaya Pranama Vivavashishite. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace. I dedicate the merit and the virtue gathered through this practice to the lasting happiness and well-being of all sentient beings without exception. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free from the causes and conditions of suffering, and may all beings be happy with the causes and conditions of happiness. Namaste. Be safe out there. You know what that means. Peace on. See you tomorrow night. Namaste.